Hi, and welcome to CoupleTales.life, the colorful shades of grey. Now, this particular question, I'm sure a lot of us are going to relate to it. As you can see, we are already chatting
Everyone.
about
Not even a lot, I think everyone.
how do you communicate with a non-communicative spouse or partner? Geetu.
You're looking like bachao.
I mean, and it's, one thing I want to be very, very sure of, it's not gender,
Yes.
this thing. It's not a
Absolutely
gender
true.
issue at all,
It's not. It's not like men are non-communicative.
Yeah, thank you so much.
It is.
You guys heard
Yeah,
it.
no, it really is. I think Vivek, you made such a valid point. This is not gender related. We can have a perception when women sit together. So when it gets discussed, it's because you're talking about your husband, and men generally don't discuss these things, so it's not perceived as such. But it has nothing to do with gender. I completely agree. Now this really it makes me smile because even I have this issue, guys. I'm not joking. But you know what I've realized is that in when you say non-communicative spouse, the first thing is that was he or she communicative before?
Okay.
Right? When you were dating, when you were, so that is also a lot of times you do get to understand a lot of these traits, that okay, they like to talk. Then what happens is that a lot of times, Vivek, it is after a certain point that the partner or the spouse becomes non-communicative, and that is the time to go inside, right? Because then you're saying no. So you remember we did a episode on listening.
Yes.
And that was very, very well received, because we actually said that how do you listen? In the same way, communication also has that undertone. How do you communicate? For instance, if you come home and if you believe communication is, hey, how was your day? A lot of times you ask this question and you actually stop listening to the answer.
Oh.
Right? Like, okay, yeah, because for me, I will think, okay, now I'm right now not in a space to listen to how was the meeting, how many people were there, what was discussed, because it's not something that I am going to and all. So it's what I'm trying to say is there are habits of communicating, like saying I love you, or saying how was your day, or have you studied, have you eaten, or hum log most of the time, honestly, we don't even wait for an answer because it's quite irrelevant. We're not asking for an answer. These are just habits. The other thing is that when you're communicating, is it repetitive?
Okay.
Is it complaining? Is it nagging? So, I'm going into the other zones. I'm not saying, there are I will come to the other part, but I'm just right now getting into the things that we do unconsciously. So basically, every time you're communicating, and if you've said the same story again and again and again, because it's not getting sorted, and maybe your partner or your spouse must have actually given you the solution in the first conversation.
Probably.
Then what happens is it's like a blind spot, It's like, Abhi, if I sit, it's the same story again, right? It's like that. So that's where I'm comparing it to listening. How are you listening? So how are you communicating? So the other thing is that, again over here, a lot of times communication is very, very conditional. It will be like, Vivek, you know what? I think that I think that you should actually, go for an interview and behave in this manner. And you will say, no, but it's not like, I don't do it. It's not like that. It's not like that. But I have already. So there is, how are you speaking? Are you accusatory? Are you trying to be right? Are you very argumentative? Do you want to always get into a debate? Guys, this, genuinely, I really give my problem. I always share my aspect of what I'm talking about. And this is one of the problems that I face with Debu, because what used to happen is we had both very strong-minded people, and we like it like that. That is not the problem. But what used to happen is that if we started talking, a lot of times I used to feel that Debu would start talking, and if the perspective was different, then his whole point, I felt this, was always about the whole conversation proving to be right. And it used to be very exhausting for me, because I was sitting there to have a conversation and not to have a debate. And I used to actually get up and walk away a lot of times or not listen. And I've told him this, that, every time I speak to you, and if you come from a place that, okay, you have a different point of view, in that there would be criticism, there would be a tone which would be, how are you saying this, but it is not right. And he doesn't realize his tones or how his body moves or what. But I do, because I'm sitting.
You're at the receiving end.
Yeah, so now, will you consider that communication, or will you consider that non-communication? Because there is, in the conventional manner, he's talking a lot to me.
Yeah.
But I don't consider that communication, because I am saying, where is the communication? You're only sitting there proving to be right.
So what you're saying is, because communication, when you say, typically is a two-way street. Is that why you're saying that listening is also a part of it, or it complements?
No, I'm saying the way listening works. Like we had said this, that, when you're listening, are you exactly the same thing? Are you coming from a place of right?
Yeah.
Or are you coming already made up your mind?
Judgment,
or are you coming from judgment? Or are you, it's very conditional. So communication can also be like that. That, I'm coming, like I gave this example, that if Debu, that's his nature. He'll say, but like his lines are like this, but I know this. You don't understand. I've read about this. And my whole point is, you must have read about it. I actually have nothing to do with the content. I'm just saying, is it interesting? So, and then, the point, are you feeling heard? Are you getting a chance? Are you discussing things? These things are very important. And then when the other person actually doesn't participate, then suddenly that person is labeled non-communicative, instead of actually also looking at your own self, right? That what am I doing? How do I? So it's like this, that kisi ko, my teacher used to give this example all the time, and that was, if somebody wants water, you're assuming I should give Pepsi. But that person is saying, bhai pani do, give me water, then you give water. So I am telling Debu, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying that let's just talk. And so another example which happened yesterday was very interesting. And I'm giving you this example because this topic by itself can be very simple. And sometimes examples help you to understand it deeply, because that's what happens in our life. So last night I was telling Debu something about my niece, and I said, what, and she has to come, and I don't know when she's going to sleep, and we are shooting today, and then she has to go in the morning, and she has to go to the airport for some work. Now, what am I saying? What did you understand from what I was saying?
It's a concern which...
exactly, right? And I'm saying that I hope she sleeps and I hope she's rested. Out of this whole thing, Debu asks me, why does she want to go to the airport? And I just looked at him, and it's okay to laugh, Vivek, it is funny, I'm laughing. And I just looked at him, and in that moment, I said, I'm trying to tell you something completely different, and you are just suddenly asking me. I said, I didn't even bother to ask her, why does she need to go to the airport? Because my conversation was not there. So, are you guys getting it? Like, that is what I mean. Now, that for me is exhausting communication. So then it's just like white noise sometimes. So then I rather keep quiet and say, you know what, I will calm down, I will go and do whatever. But it was so funny, and now fortunately we've reached a place where it doesn't become a fight. Earlier, my communication was also not good. I would have said, what is this rubbish? I'm trying to tell you something else. Where are you going? How do you think like this? See, now that is a lot of criticism and accusation. Whereas yesterday, now because we've all grown, yesterday I just looked at him and I said, Devu, I'm actually really trying to tell you something very different, and you're taking me to a different place. And then he said, oh, okay. And then I continued and I said, I'm just thinking about this. So it got sorted. But now with this example, you understand how much of a difference there is, right? So it is, guys. I mean, I have all the things that you have, and every day I wake up and I also work on it. But it's great fun, and we are growing, and I think that's more important for me, to grow.
I think what's very critical from what Geetu said is that, communication, if you feel there's a non-participative, so to speak, in the communication, then you can always look back and see that, okay, is there something that,
for instance, Vivek, what I'm saying is your tone in a conversation. Is it very accusatory? Are you always starting your conversation by saying, I told you to do it like that, but you never do it like that. But I told you that, I like it like that, but you don't give it to me. And a lot of times your answers, you already know what you want. And if it doesn't live up to that, that means it's not a conversation.
I think so the sense that I get is also because because of all of this, you may become non-communicative. Because you started off by saying, was this person communicative earlier, and what has happened now? So that is something that I think we can all reflect on and really think about, because at the end of the day, like we said, communication is a two-way street. It is something which is give and take,
And go back and watch the listening episode because I think there is a beautiful connect to communication and listening. They work very well together. So go back and watch that, because you will understand what it is. And remember, guys, if somebody is asking for water, don't give them an expensive juice. You may feel that I want to give them the most expensive. My intention is very good. But you know what? Sometimes go with the flow and say, okay, he or she is asking for water. Let me just give him water.
Sure. Thank you so much for joining us at coupletales.live, the colorful shades of grey. Do subscribe to our channel. It encourages us to do more and more. This is Vivek Kapoor signing off.
And this is Geetu Purkayastha, just telling you thank you, because we are having a lot of fun doing this.